chill has begun to hit the air this week, and that only means one thing. Winter is on the way, and the beginning of the most important part of the season, the middle third, with all the chinks ironed out from the opening rounds and with a final still months away. This middle portion of the season will go a long way to determining who will still be in action during late August and early September. For Charlestown and Valentine, their season to this point couldn't be further apart. The Blues have lost just twice. They sit third, while Valentine have only won once. Now we're looking to turn that around this afternoon. For Valentine, the team news is they make two changes to last weekend's side, who downed Western 4-3. Scott Carter returns in goals from that dislocated shoulder, and Aaron Kuru replaces Luke Willard, who's out through injury. For Charlestown, they also make two changes. Zach Lloyd, he drops to the bench. Daniel Lehman comes into the side for his first start of the year, and Riley McNaughton is out with that medial injury. Masaya Sakamoto starts for the Blues. Our referee this afternoon, James Cleel, is about to get us underway. Valentine running from right to left of screen in this opening half in their orange kit, and Charlestown in their home, the blue and white, from left to right of screen. It's a chilly one today, just 17 degrees, the wind 30 kilometres now from the south. So behind Valentine in this opening half, gentlemen, good afternoon. How are you two?
Yeah, a little bit chilly, isn't it, on a beautiful Sunday Mother's Day afternoon. But I think this is a danger game for Charlestown. You know, Valentine will be buoyed by their result last week, beating Western, giving a little bit of confidence. They've been in a lot of the games this year, but just haven't got results. So where they sit on the tail, I don't think it's going to be a true reflection of this game today. It's going to be a very tight game, and I know David Tanskas is a little bit worried about it.
Kevin Davidson on the ball, and you mentioned that, Smudge. Charlestown, they haven't won in two matches with that loss, that shock loss to Adamstown last weekend, 3-2 at Adamstown Oval. The previous week they drew with Edgeworth. That was a good result, but coupled with the defeat last week, they've had a dour run the last couple of weeks. For Valentine, they've actually won their last two straight, including the FFA Cup match against Dudley Redhead, followed by that win over Western, both 4-3. So attacking-wise, they're in good shape. Defensively, maybe not so. How are the sides lining up this afternoon, structure-wise? Yeah,
structure-wise, they're playing like a mirror image of each other, both playing a 4-3-1. Tancheski's actually changed his shape. CT, having two of their main strikers out, or good child being out, he sort of reverted to a one up front. So we'll just let play on going here.
It's Reen Ferguson. He's only scored once this year. That was back in round one. It's been a while for him. It's that one across the face. Carter in a scramble with Sakamoto. And it hasn't been long, and already Scott Carter's hit the deck. First match back from injury since that match against Maitland up at Cook Square Park. That was in round 4, where he dislocated his shoulder in that 1-1 draw.
Yeah, just on Charlestown, talking to Tancheski prior to the game. Yeah, he's been forced to change his shape due to the fact that he's got limited strikers. He's got a few injuries. Obviously, Goodchild being out, who's one of their main strike force. So Smith moves up front with Callan Lewis, just playing a little bit deep in that number 10 role, with Ferguson wide on the left. So it should be very interesting.
There's Tommy Smart pushing forward. Scott Carter launches this one down the ground.
Good afternoon, boys.
CT.
And it should be good afternoon football on Mother's Day.
Does that mean you're going to bring out some Mother's Day jokes?
We'll just leave that for a little bit later. Perhaps, maybe not.
So if you want a joke from CT, make sure you hang around. It's this one turned over by Kershaw, but it just overhit the ball to Joel Wood. Been impressive since arriving in the NPL, Christian Kershaw. He was at Marshall University in the US last year. Continues the production line of American talent, which has come through the Phoenix after Jalen Brown and Alec Faulkner came to the club last year. Maybe not quite in the quality bracket as those two, Christian Kershaw, but definitely great man to have in the middle of the park for the Phoenix.
Yeah, he's a very good player. But last time we saw him play, he was playing in the number 6 role, just sitting in front of the back four, Valentine's back four. But this week, Seals has pushed him out a little bit wide, a little bit high. They said he's got a bit of pace, so it'll be interesting to see how him and Tommy Smart line up together. Thought, CT?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're back smack on there. Matt Paul's going to do a good chunk of the work in there, and his work rate, as we know, is very, very high. So, if he has got a bit of pace, he'll be exploiting that in wider areas today.
Here's Danny Ireland looking to clear it out for the Blues. Incredibly, Charlestown have got the second best defensive record of all sides in the comp, yet Danny Ireland and the Blues defensive line have only kept one clean sheet. That was against Lake Macquarie in round 3.
Who's kept the most clean sheet this year so far, Bart?
Broadmeadow Magic, 4 clean sheets for them this year. An impressive back line they have. They're in action this afternoon against the Jets youth. Here is Kershaw. You were talking about this battle, Smudge, and he's won that one up against Tommy Smart.
Yeah, he's got a bit of pace, Kershaw. We haven't seen much of his pace because he's been playing that's more central role as the number 6, and probably more he's getting a touch, not really taking players on. He saw more winning the ball, but he showed some pace there, CT.
He absolutely did.
Joel Wood lays it off. Strike. Fades wide from Wilson Edwards. So that move, so Kershaw was playing in the number 6. Now with Zach Snedden back from injury, he's slotted into that role and could be a benefit for them. I think it's a great decision from Darren Sills to play Zach Snedden in that role where he is going to be doing a lot more running because he's young and fit.
And you know what, he's also aggressive and he can win some ball, and he's got some good technique, and he's got a good passing range, hasn't he, CT? And he can, I think it'd be definitely beneficial with him and Matt Paul working in sync in that centre of the park.
He was primarily a midfielder at Western before he made the move to Valentine, so no stranger to the middle of the park. We see this free kick, Reece Pettit. He scored twice last week. The first season he's scored multiple goals in the NPL this year. Scored once last year. Valentine skipper. Looks for Joel Wood. He gets the head to it and wasn't far off, dipping inside the back post.
He's a real danger man up front, Smudge, isn't he? You can play balls in at him and at his feet, and he can run, and he's very quick. And as we see there, he got up very well for that header. And he does score goals, Smudge. We've seen him over a number of years.
But the key to that was that ball in from Wilson. He just nicely, it was at a great height, very difficult for Daniel Island to come and take the ball. So he was in two minds, wasn't he, Daniel Island?
Which is not something you say very often about Charlestown keeper. Goalkeeper of the year back in 2016.
Good to see Danny Lehman getting a start in the middle of the park today for Charlestown.
Sakamoto with the 1-2 back to Salini. Up against one of his former sides, Cameron Salini, as he curls this one in. Sakamoto has an air swing with the header. Sits up for Scott Smith. Lays it into the back of Phoenix defender. Josh Carroll looks to release Joel Wood. Then Davidson with an important touch.
A full-blooded drive there from Smith that would have been a stinger on a cool Sunday afternoon if he copped that one in the back end.
He hasn't scored in 2 weeks, Scott Smith. Interestingly, both the target men, both the important cogs in the wheel, if I can say that for both sides, haven't scored in a number of weeks. Joel Wood's 4 games without a goal in the NPL, and Scott Smith's a couple. So we're looking to finish that little drought off this afternoon. Here is Scott Smith. Looks for Callan Lewis. He's got Sakamoto and Reen Ferguson as well.
Yeah, he's a danger man, just like Joel Wood, isn't he, CT, Scott Smith. But Reen Fergus on that left-hand side, he's also going to be devastating. If they can get him one-on-one with Wilson, he could cause a little bit of havoc at the right fullback.
Well, we've been here before in recent weeks where we've seen him do exactly that. The other thing that I've liked about Charlestown is the left and right-sided defensive players in Salini and Smart. The balls they've been playing into their front men and bypassing the midfield.
Davidson puts his body between Wood and Ireland, and the ball to ensure the danger doesn't become anything more than that. Just interested to have a look at this matchup in the middle of the park, boys. So I don't know if you've noticed it, but Aaron Nyankuro up against Dan Lehman. That seems like a bit of a mismatch. Obviously, Nyankuro has plenty of pace in comparison to Lehman, but Lehman has a lot more strength. So it could be interesting to watch unfold this afternoon.
Well, physically, Daniel Lehman has really filled up strong over the last couple of years, and he's looking like just a man of muscle at the moment. And you're right, that potentially is, but if you would know Daniel Lehman, he's particularly quick.
Here's Lewis across the face. Sakamoto looking to double his account for the season. Of course, CT, we remember that game here against Lambton where he scored in the last minutes. That was just an incredible match back in round 4.
Just on that play there, Callum Lewis playing in the number 10 role, making that forward run beyond into the pocket. That could be a danger for Valentine. They just need to be careful, make sure they track their runners. When you're talking about Daniel Lehman there, CT, I thought you were going to say he's looking like me, mate.
No, he looks fit. No, he has put on a lot of muscle, and he's not overweight. That's definitely not it. But he's always been really quick. So when you put on muscle, sometimes you may slow down. It'll be interesting to see how he goes in a foot race, as you'd pointed out, Bart.
So here's Lubo Milicevic. Gee, might have a nosebleed after this run.
And that's where Charlestown's dangerous. Lubo sort of reads the play. He comes into midfield, creates that overload in midfield, that extra man, and that's where he can interchange with the midfielders. That's where they can be very dangerous and get some opportunities, Charlestown.
Wilson Edwards made a bit of a meal of that. Charlestown will get the corner kick. Yeah, last week against Adamstown, he was, as they were chasing the game, he was playing up in the front third quite a bit, Lubo Milicevic.
Yeah, well, Tange gives him that sort of free rein, and he can read the game as well as anybody. So he knows when to inject himself in the midfield or into the front line.
So Milicevic and Reece Pettit, a bit of a duel here. Back post, it's pinball. Marine Ferguson frustrated there. It's been a frustrated front man for the last 7 matches for Charlestown. Goalless. Alan Lewis on the turn, threads it through. Here's a chance for Scott Smith. And Scott Carter got the big right fluoro orange paw onto the ball to save the day for the Phoenix.
Great ball by Salini. Great run by Smith off the shoulder, off the central defender. However, there's Carter. He's experienced. He came and spread himself nice and wide, and great save by Carter.
So it's Charlestown with the better of the opportunities on the opening part of this match. Interesting, Darren Sills said pre-match, going to go at Charlestown. Try and put them under pressure. Joel Wood. That hasn't missed by much at all. Danny Ireland was quickly on his bike to get across.
A genuine squeal from the crowd there, boys.
And that wasn't me.
Well, good to see the crowd's built up as well, because pre-match there was about 15 people here, so it's good to have a few more.
Just on that play before you talk, CT, sorry to cut you off, mate. See Joel Wood, he just dropped in the pocket just off of Milicevic and Davidson. That's where he's dangerous. He was able to turn and had a good strike on goal.
Here's Zach Snedden. Nice turn from him. And now Wood. Reeling it in was Josh Carroll. And James Pearl is going to award the free kick to the Phoenix. Decent position. Question is, do they have the quality?
What do you thought, CT?
From
the wind?
Yeah,
the
from
weather,
here.
the wind?
Yeah, look, the wind and the weather is going to play a part here, particularly the wind. This strike here will be assisted by the wind. You would expect possibly, from the way he's shaping up, a top right-hand corner. We would be where you'd be looking. We're in a good angle to see what he's looking at. Not much on the low left.
So Josh Carroll standing over it, yet to score this year, and that will continue. He lays that straight at Lubo Milicevic at the front of the wall. And the pressure is relieved.
Lubo just telling his troops to settle the play down a little bit. It's been a little bit rushed that last few minutes.
Yeah, it's this time of the year, Smudge, where you just get in a routine of things, don't you? And the points become really, really important. Not just take your foot off the accelerator and keep ticking the points over. And for Tancheski, that's going to be really important. That he reminds his players that we've still got a job to do, and you just can't relax, because if you do, you get pinched.
Well, talking to Tancheski prior to the game, he said it's all about the 3 points today. They've got a few players out. he's a little bit worried about the game, you know, and this is the game. If you want to do well, you can't drop points that are below you on the table. And if you look at the table at the moment, Maitland's just quietly gone about their business, and they're on top, even though they've had a game in hand.
Yeah, they won last night against Lake Macquarie 2-0. Of course, that other match yesterday, Hamilton upset Lambton. You call it an upset. Lambton had some men out, as did Hamilton as well. Lambton went in as favourites, and Hamilton did the job over them. You two cast your eye over that particular match. Not the most spectacular match of football, but Pete McGuinness will be happy with the 3 points. 2 weeks in a row now. Yeah,
absolutely will, because he knows he's got a side that's capable. And with that, he definitely can see, you know, Smudge and I, we've spoken about the momentum and, you know, getting into winning ways, and you can see his group is really shaping that way. So, yeah, he'll be ecstatic about that result yesterday, because it's not easy to win over at Lambton.
And I did watch their team song that Hamilton put it up on their Facebook page. But it was a bit interesting because, you know, when you're seeing the team song, here we go, Callan Lewis might come back to the team song after Scott Smith. There's this opportunity in the front third. Gets it onto that left boot. Ferguson there. I saw them celebrating the team song, Hamilton Olympic. And you know when you're singing a team song, you want to make as much noise as possible. Well, there was only a massage table in the Lambton away dressing room, so they're just slapping the massage table. And, you know, you want to make more of a racket, don't you? It's a bit disappointing here. Sakamoto just pushing this one wide.
He looked like a foul on Josh Murray. It looked like he just clipped him as the ball went over the top, didn't it, CT?
Yeah.
But Sakamoto just pulled the shot. Good opportunity, great opportunity for Charlestown. Really probably could have done better.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're one-on-one with the keeper, you want to put him away. And Tanchevsky down there probably pulling his hair out a little bit, because that one should have been put away.
I think a game like this is going to be few and far chances, isn't there? Because of the wind, because of the bounce. Tough conditions out there today.
That's an important win from Zach Snedden. Would have been interesting to see where that strike was headed. Had it not came off the backside of Davidson. Now Rain Ferguson looks up and sees Callan Lewis. That one overhit.
Just your thoughts on this, CT, just on that play, the phase just before. Scotty Smith running off the shoulders of the defenders. He's got an option, hasn't he? Either drop in the pockets and try and look for his midfields, play 1-2s, or run off the shoulders and create space to get the ball played through.
We spoke about exactly that yesterday, didn't we?
Yes.
We said Lambton or Olympic, you know, someone coming from deep. He's doing that. You're right. He's sitting a little bit deeper and timed his run just on that occasion really well and picked it off. This is the ball we're talking about with Cellini. Bypass the middle of the park straight into the strikers. He's been doing that consistently. That didn't come off there that time, but, you know, they're the balls, particularly when Goodchild's on the pitch as well, you know, dropping them back in and getting 1-2s, and away they go.
Apparently he's a few, maybe even more than a few weeks away, Kane Goodchild. That's a huge loss.
6 to 8 weeks, Tanchevsky said prior to the...
And McNaughton's similar with that media last week. This one headed straight away by Milicevic. Now Scott Smith. Sakamoto, two of the shortest players on the pitch doing battle there, in Riley Russell and Masaya Sakamoto.
He's a good little defender, Riley Russell. We watched him against Olympic and we're very impressed with him. Shut down Scott Pettit quite well.
And Charlestown this afternoon, they're looking to end a barren run against Valentine. They actually haven't beaten them since 2013. And when they did beat them in 2013, that last victory was a 7-1 scoreline the way of the Blues. Kane Goodchild scored 4 that afternoon. Scott Smith scored a double. It's been a long time between drinks for the Blues against Valentine.
Just at the moment, you see Charles, they come a lot to the right-hand side. Reem Ferguson's only had about 3 touches, hasn't he? They haven't gone really to the left. I like to see him to get the ball out to Reem Ferguson, give him a go one-on-one with Wilson, a right full-back.
Maybe a part of that is because Tom Smart's got his hands full out on the left-hand side at the back for Charlestown.
Yeah, that's true. With Kershaw.
Correct.
Be an opportunity here for Callan Lewis, running into that headwind. And Charlestown will be charging into in this first 45 minutes, and is quite blustery. At 30 kilometres an hour. Scott Carter will roll this one out to Josh Murray. Up the line for Carroll. Davidson got himself out of a pickle. Rolls it to his skipper, Matt Tull, and now Sakamoto holding off Russell. Lyman's header straight to Snedden. Back to Pettit.
Just looking at the two games, yesterday's game, CT, and today's game, look at the back four of Charlestown really deep, where the two sides yesterday, Hamilton and Lambton, pushed right up. There was only about 20, 25-yard gap between the striker and the defender. It was so condensed and compressed, where this is a bit more spread.
Yeah, which limited the amount of opportunity they had to play the ball yesterday.
Milicevic just holding off 9 Kuru there.
Yeah, you're right, Smudge, because front to back it was really, really tight, so they had less area to play. This game, not so. It's more spread, and you've picked it in exactly the right position there. There's going to be more possession, I guess, because they've got a little bit more time on the ball.
Kershaw, his touch off the chest was just a little heavy, and he's fouled Rain Ferguson.
That's a tough one, wasn't it? Because he actually got to the ball first. But I know his stuff was sort of showing, but he got to the ball first, knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
But also, it's dangerous play.
Tully's telling us, Shane Tull's telling us a yellow card.
We've got a score at Magic, guys. It's Broadmeadow Magic 1, Newcastle Jets 0.
Any idea on the goal scorer? Find out. Rob Virgili will probably be there, won't he?
Yeah, I might send him a little quick text, see if he can keep us up to date.
Slaney. Reece Pettit did well there. That was a tough ball to bring under control. It was just at that awkward height. And here's Christian Kershaw again. Got away from Tom Smart. Now Wood. Neat play here from the Phoenix. Matt Paul along the tarmac to Snedden. And it breaks down.
Yeah, we were talking about possession just a minute or two ago, and that's a good example of it right there. Yesterday's game, where the two defences were really tight, nice and high, didn't give them that opportunity, whereas just a little bit more room in the middle of the park, Smudge.
Yeah, definitely. But also, the midfield the midfield was nice and compact as well.
Here's Salini to Lehman, and then Scott Smith not quite on the same page as Ferguson. Valentine swiftly forward. Carroll on the turn. His last goal, Josh Carroll, in the NPL actually came against Charlestown. That was last year. Hasn't scored since.
Out at Magic, it was an own goal, Bart. Own goal by the Jets, so Magic up 1-0 after 20.
Unfortunate for the Jets. They've had a little bit of a tough run of late. They lost to Western during the week. So maybe just heading into a tough section of the season for them.
And it's come through, but Magic's up 2-0 now. I'll find out the goal scorer very shortly. And it was Oxborough straight off a corner. So 2-0 to Magic.
And that signing could turn Magic into, well, very much contenders for the premiership. I know they have been a little bit off the pace this year in terms of where Edgeworth are at. But with Oxborough there, you sense Magic are right up there in terms of favouritism with Edgeworth.
100% agree with that, Bart. Your thoughts, CT?
My thoughts are that I knew you were going to say that.
Here's Josh Carroll. And here's Wood now. Just open up for him. And Edwards, it deflects back towards Wood. It was off Tom Smart and now blazed over by Kershaw. Gee, Tom Smart is just being run rings around at the moment. He is not having the best opening half here at Charlestown.
Yeah, back to Broadmeadow Magic. I genuinely agree that they've got to be up there as one of the favourites, if not, especially with the inclusion of Oxborough. They've been, as they did last year, they just got better as they went along, didn't they? And now you've got the feeling that they're really going to come into some form. And
like Josh Rose for Edgeworth, Oxborough's just stepped back from the A-League. He hasn't played in 2 weeks or so. But he's fit. He's fully fit. He's A-League fit, and he's got the touch, and he's a high-quality player.
Well, we saw, on numerous occasions last year where the balls that he was playing from the central or left side of the park out to Virgili, time and time again, and just really dangerous for oppositions. Yeah,
I think it resulted in 6 goals, I think, from memory.
Great from the dead ball situations as well, Mitch Oxborough, and that's one of the most important there is, if you can get a few freebies from the ball.
Well, he scored straight off the corner, so obviously...
bit of wind and a bit of curl. It's Dan Lehman. Reen Ferguson just couldn't get there in time for Riley Russell's clearance. Callan Lewis back to goal.
Very quick feet.
Salini. Frustration for the Blues. There is Zach Snedden. Kershaw back to Edwards.
So it looks like Tenchessy's just switched Reen Ferguson over from Sakamoto. I think that's a good move, actually. The ball's been played a lot on the right-hand side in the attacking half of Charlestown. He goes Kershaw. No, it's too far.
Yeah, a little overhit there from Zach Snedden.
Well, you want Ferguson on the ball as well, too. And, you know, he wasn't getting anything out there at that time. Maybe Sakamoto will cover a little bit more ground to go and pick things up rather than delivery. We'll see how that one pans out, Smudge, but, you know, I don't think it's a bad move.
We're just over the halfway mark in this opening half at Lyle-Carr Oval. It's round 9 of the NPL Northern New South Wales. Charlestown sitting third on the ladder currently, up against Valentine, who are down in last. But they've been a lot better than a side coming 11th this year. That's the thing, it's really difficult to pick the worst side in the NPL Northern New South Wales after 9 rounds, because it's been so tight between a lot of those sides at the bottom half of the ladder.
I think you're finding coming weeks there'll be a bit of a separation in the table. What are your thoughts on that, CT?
Yeah,
maybe top 5 or so will start to slowly separate.
Salini into Ferguson on that left boot, and Pettit blocks away. Of course, last year Western were so far behind the pack it was easy to tell, but this year I was actually having a look. The gap between first and last at this time last year, or the gap between the top 4 and last at this stage last year was about 12 points. This year it's about 8 or 9, I think. So,
yeah, I still think the gap between the top 5 and 6 will start to separate in coming weeks.
There's Matt Tull. Lehman is flying through the air there. Salini. Now it's 9 Kuru. This opens up for Valentine. There's acres of space over on the right. That is a crucial tackle from Kevin Davidson. As big a tackle that's been made so far in this match. Alan Lewis, I 100% agree with you, Smudge. I think that gap is starting to open up, but I feel the difference in quality between the sides, say 6th to 11th, is a lot tighter this year than it was last year.
We look at last week, Adamstown beating Charlestown, top versus bottom virtually, so
Matt Paul to thread it through the Valentine midfielder. Answered an SOS from Darren Sills at the start of the year. He wasn't going to play Matt Paul and decided he would. He was going to focus on triathlons. A really important man to have in the middle. Of course, Daniel Ott announced midweek for the Phoenix he won't be playing this year, injured his Achilles, and may contemplate retirement, the former Marconi man. So sad news for him, and would have been great to see Daniel Ott in action this year. Both sides just struggling to control possession during this period.
Bit tight, wasn't it, CT?
Yeah, Sakamoto was on there, but just couldn't get the ball delivered.
9 Kuru sees the run of Zach Snedden. Again, he can't find the ball he would have wanted. Snedden.
I think both coaches will be a little bit frustrated with the turnover, CT. They're getting some good positions, but the turnover, just that end pass is sort of just breaking down. It is a bit windy and a little bit bumpy.
I totally agree with you, because we're making the point there is a little bit more room in the middle of the park to pick the ball up and receive and play. So, you know, turning it over on a day like today, well, the way they're shaping up, is not what they'll be after.
He's got great strength, low centre of gravity, Sakamoto, just holding off Pettit there. And now all of a sudden it's Valentine who will push deep. Matt Tull, he finds some tall timber. Tries to find Sakamoto, and it's over his head. Not quite the tall timber he was after. You both loved that one, didn't you? Just want to ask you two about this point in the season. I remember last year talking to you, Smudge, about this middle part of the season. It's the most important bit because finals are still a fair way off. And the start of the season, you've ironed out all the chinks. Of course, when you're getting your finals, you can get yourself up because you know how important it is. This middle part of the season, these are the important games, the money games.
Tenjeski said to me prior to the game, they said the boys were just flat last week against Adamstown. Their heads weren't there, and that could cost them. You know, that was an expected 3 points from Charlestown against Adamstown. But
how did you guys keep your side up during this period where sides can go flat? It's cold. You know, maybe you don't want to get out and train.
Well, when you think about it, you know, the season starts from the year before with your recruitment, then your pre-season before Christmas these days, and then your pre-season starts. By the time you get to this point in the year in May, you've been doing it for quite a long time, and it's a good question, Bart, because the thing is about keeping it fresh, and sometimes, you know, different coaches do different things. But, you know, from time to time, it might be a case of, you know, doing a different type of activity instead of training. Some coaches will give the odd session off, and then other coaches might decide to train harder. So, you know, just to keep their minds on it. So different people will do different things.
Yeah, totally agree, CT.
And that light at the end of the tunnel that is the end of the season and the finals isn't quite there yet. And that's why it is so important to keep the intensity levels up. Here's Sakamoto. Smith was in there. If he just pulled it back a touch, couldn't quite do so.
It's what we were talking about probably 10 or 15 minutes ago with, you know, the points at this time of the year are really, really valuable because, you know, everyone comes out of the box buzzing at the beginning of the year, and as you're right, you're towards the semi-finals, same thing, you ramp up again, but you've just got to keep clocking the points over. So keeping it fresh at training is really key.
You know what, you could be playing the best brand of football possible, but if you're not picking up the points...
Well, at Olympic, you know, they're a good example of beginning of the year.
Sakamoto. Trying to find Matt Talbot, Naikuru. He's there quickly. Under Snedden, but will fall for Josh Carroll, fortuitously for the Phoenix. And Christian Kershaw is released, and with the wind and the pace on that pass.
Yeah, I thought it was a poor ball by Carroll. He should have just been in front of Kershaw. Then he's on goal. He's going flat out into the 6-yard or into the 18-yard box on goal. He just need to be right in front of him.
So for the young players that have a look at that situation, you're right, Smudge. You guide him where you want him to go by the area that you're going to play the football. And if he pushes him wide, regardless of whether it goes out or not, he's going wide. And then you push him on target towards goal, and there's a good learning point. And
ultimately, that could have been a goal-scoring opportunity.
Absolutely.
In the end, it just was a throw-in.
Well, we heard Carter scream his head off, and I think that's what he was yelling about.
Spot play.
Here's Cameron Salini, wide to Callan Lewis. He got jammed in there by Russell and Paul. Great insight as well from you two. People watching it. It's interesting for me standing here having a listen to it. Two great minds of football.
Great turn by Reed Ferguson. This is what you want to see.
There's Callan Lewis and Ferguson takes on the strike. Smudge, your arm goes up there.
Yeah, look, he had Scott Smith just to his left. If he just laid off to Scott Smith, he would have been one-on-one with Edwards right on the edge of the box. It would have been very dangerous.
It's easy in the armchair, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So that is a great tackle from Davidson, and it may create an opportunity. He rushed up the centre back, and Kevin Davidson across the face. Callan Lewis taps it in, but that was all Kevin Davidson. He dispossesses Joel Wood near halfway, and he tees up Lewis for his second of the season. Take a bow, Kevin.
What a goal. You know what? Kevin Davis, he just read that perfectly. He was probably 20 yards off his back line when he read and jumped in and pinched that off Joel Wood. But Callan Lewis, great little run, great little 1-2. Kept his run going forward and great finish.
And that just shows you the intensity you need in these situations. The match is just in a little bit of a lull. Just hang on a second.
I think he was definitely onside from what I've seen, but looks like James.
Surely it won't be disallowed at this.
Well, you know what he's saying, I think? He's saying that with Scott Carter coming out of his goal, there was only one person offside,
So it's been disallowed. Well, there you go. all the great work from Kevin Davidson.
So what he's saying is there was only one defender on the goal line when Scott Carter had to come out of his goal line. So therefore, there's only one person between the goal line.
We'd have to have another look at that. It'd be nice to have that replay happen now.
If you're watching on YouTube and you've got the app or you've got it on your computer, just have a scroll back if you want to have a look. Because we're not 100% sure. Matt Tull is not happy with the assistant referee. Lubo Milicevic. We had a close-up of him right now. He's not entirely impressed. He's got the arms outstretched.
From the initial thought, it looked like a legit goal, but when you look at it, depending on where Carter is out of his box when he's come to close down Kevin Davidson.
We'll have a look at half-time and give our verdict, but you feel sorry for Kevin Davidson after all that. Gee, he did such a good job.
And they've had some good chances, Charlestown, and probably deserved to take the lead before half-time.
It was like the VAR. We had to wait at the time there. As long as the decision is the correct one.
So this is where Charlestown need to be careful. They don't want to drop their heads and allow Valentine to sneak into the game. Did you have a look, CT?
No, I didn't.
I'll just get it up for you, CT. So Valentine, dodge a bullet there.
I was just having a look on Facebook to go through that stream, but I couldn't see it.
So we will give you a verdict on that disallowed goal in just a second. I'll give CT a quick glance at it. So here is the free kick going the way of Valentine. Backstead and Feld there.
Well, I think that's definitely a goal from first glance.
There's a Valentine player just beyond the goal line, keeping him on side, as far as I understand.
I think that's definitely a goal from...
I can't see why it shouldn't be a goal. There's Riley Russell. Valentine may have definitely gotten away with one there. As Murray loops this one and Ireland will gobble it up.
Just over at Magic, boys. Jets have pulled one back. It's 2-1 at Magic.
Here's Edwards. Charlestown look to break. What's your opinion, CT?
Yeah, I've just had another look. I can't see anything wrong with that goal. I agree
Neither can I.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, I'm trying to find something wrong with it. I'm trying to look at it. Go. Where's the issue with the goal?
I think the linesman thought Carter was further out than what he was, but he's. I can't see. I can't see the issue unless there was a foul in the box, but I can't see the.
I didn't see anything. No, I mean we're looking on a telephone, but there was nothing in it that I could see, and I don't know why the linesman would question that.
Here's Milicevic. Matt Paul now nodding it. 9 Kuru. Brought it down nicely to Snedden. Now here is Reece Pettit. Russell. Now with Josh Carroll. This is better from Valentine, just building a little bit of pressure, and Pettit looking for the pass that can cut Charlestown open. I just feel like the wind is hindering Valentine a little at the moment. I
was going to say exactly the same thing. The thing with Valentine, they need to play to feet, because every time the ball plays forward, the wind just takes the ball off. So they need to keep it to feet, where Charlestown can play the balls into the space and run onto it, because the ball's going to hold up, and it's perfect.
CT, can you sing us some Meatloaf? You took the words right out of my mouth for Smudge.
No, but I will remind you, it is Mother's Day, boys. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers.
So the goal scorer over at the Jets was called Not Sure.
Okay, it's a good player, I've heard. Here's Christian Kershaw. Now that's a better ball. He's able to run that one down. Here's Murray. Here's Russell across the face. Tull. Sorry, Smudge, I was just standing on your cord there.
Yeah, nearly strangled me.
Here's Ferguson.
Didn't sound great.
Now Snedden. Kuru with that turn of pace. Scored last week as well in that win over Western. Got a couple this year, of course, scored that bicycle against Lake Macquarie a few weeks ago. Superb strike. Here's Kershaw. Now Matt Paul. Probably done the most work in this first half for a player in orange. Christian Kershaw, he's been up and down that right-hand flank a lot, very fit, mobile.
Yeah, he's been giving little Tommy Smart a bit of a headache out there, but yeah, it's been a good battle between those two.
What I am interested to see is in the second half, Aidan Gardner, playing for Charlestown this afternoon, up against his former side, Valentine Phoenix. Apparently, where there was rumours he may go to Western, and then he ended up at Charlestown. It all seems a little bit odd to me, why you'd sign with a club and then leave after this amount of time. He was given started about 3 out of 4 matches to start the year, so it's Josh Carroll.
And just on Daniel Island, it's great to see Daniel Island back this year. He missed a large part or most of last season, didn't he, Bart? And CT, it's great to see him back. He was a Premier goalkeeper for a number of years. And, yeah, great to see him back.
Spoke to him last time we were here. I think you were on leave, Smudge. And he said he was back and he felt great. Good news for Charlestown.
Scott Smith almost found his way through the rabbit warren there. Kuru. There's a run of Wood. Sides against that. Now Josh Carroll. Dinking it over the top. Joel Wood. Got the boot to it. It was the outside of his right boot, and Danny Island's reflexes were pretty quick.
And you know what? If someone gave him the call, he could have controlled that. He had time. He was free as a bird in the centre of that yard box.
So as we tick towards half-time, still 0-0. Charlestown had a goal disallowed, which we thought was rightly a goal. James Clell is going to come back here. Is he going to have a chat to Lubo Milicevic here?
Yeah, I think Lubel was upset. He was thinking that Joel Wood was offside in that phase just before where he nearly scored, but I don't think he told the linesman his opinion.
And boys, just touching on Mother's Day, it is Mother's Day. It looks like we've got a lot of mums here, actually. It's good to see. And but it brings me to the point, why do mum kangaroos not like the rain and bad weather? It's because kids have to play inside. The usual
I don't even find that funny.
The usual blank stare.
I hope there's people laughing in Bar TV world, just so you're not too embarrassed, CT.
Well, why are mother computers, or why are computers always smart? Why are computers always smart? Because they
have a motherboard.
They always listen to the motherboard. Right. That's it, Bart.
So here's Rain Ferguson. Important dispossession there. Here's Smith.
Great ball.
Raking ball to the middle. Matt Tull gets clipped from behind. Arms and legs everywhere. And Zach Snedden will pick up a yellow card, which he's not too impressed about. And Matt Tull, he was in wonderful goal-scoring touch last week. Scored a couple.
Wasn't that a great ball by Reen Ferguson? So he did a great run on the left-hand side. And that was a tough little ball to clip into Matt Tull.
It was a very smart ball, wasn't it? Typically, you'll have players that may not look.
Well, what's going on here?
They've just tried to take a quick free kick, and it's just gone straight into the Valentine players. So
it's all happening this afternoon. We've got yellow cards, we've got disallowed goals, and, well, it didn't make much sense to me what was going on there. Here's Joel Wood, threading it wide. And now Kevin Davidson is in all sorts here. This does not look good at all.
He fell very awkwardly.
And
I'd like to see the replay.
Charlestown's injury crisis looks as though it may be getting a hell of a lot worse. Oh, you've got to feel for him.
He's been fantastic this year, Kevin Davidson. He's been a rock with Lubo Milicevic at the back.
Second best defence in the comp. They've conceded just 10 goals. And it looks as though his afternoon will be ended here. Just having a look at the bench, they've got Zach Lloyd, who's defensive player. New signing from the emerging Jets. You expect he might go out there. Aiden Gardner also on the bench. Joel Stewart, Jared Purcell, and Joe Delbridge. They're the 5 men on the bench for Charlestown.
Can we get a replay of that tackle, if we can, CT?
I'll get it for you, Smudge. We'll have a quick
Bart's
scan.
a lot sharper on the technology than what I am.
Yeah, and me too.
Yeah, just as soon as he went down, it
looked awkward, didn't it?
I know you don't want to speculate on injury, so I'll leave it for the medical professionals, which you are one of those, Smudge.
Yeah, well, he's putting weight through it, which is a bonus, but I don't know. Like I said, we've got no replay straight in front of us, but he just looked a tad awkward when he fell. Like he got his knee caught up in the
here
grass,
it is.
I think.
Yeah, it did. He actually went to clear it, and his leg got caught in the grass.
In the grass, yeah, that's what I thought initially, but obviously we haven't got replays right in front of us, so...
And the knee looked as though it was in an unstable position. It was sort of half outstretched in the grass, just turning. And
so hopefully... Good news is you could put weight through it, but...
So Charlestown down to 10 men momentarily. They may continue to half-time with just the 10 as Tanchevsky works out what he's going to do. Riley Russell.
There's been another goal at Broadmeadow, boys. It's Magic 3, Newcastle Jets 1. Justin Broadley gets the third for Magic. Great run by Lehman.
Lehman, here he is, dinking it. Straight to Scott Carter. And as the momentum maybe just swung towards Valentine here with the loss of Kevin Davidson. Now, of course, they got big man Lubo Milicevic at the back there. And Kevin Davidson's coming back out. Well, that's incredible. He's back from the dead. He looked... Well, I don't think he's going to continue, to be honest. I think he'll just continue till half-time. Here's Callum Lewis, the top of the box. Matt Tull was there first. Still holding off Lewis. And Valentine win the free kick deep in their own defensive third.
Just on Kevin Davidson, he might have just jarred his knees. So once he warms up, he might be okay. But at initial thoughts, he just sort of went down really quickly, which is a major concern. But he could put weight through it, which is always a bonus.
Well, it's good to see that he's back out there. At least he didn't look as though he'd be coming back at all when he first went down.
Carter's pretty keen here, staying... Oh, it's half-time.
And that will do us for the opening 45 minutes here at Lyle Carr Oval. It's a topsy-turvy opening half, both sides with some chances. Charlestown with a goal disallowed, and that is what Dave Tanchevsky and Lubo Milicevic are talking to the referee about. A goal disallowed, which looked as though it was a fair goal. So half-time here at Lyle Carr. It is Charlestown 0, Valentine 0, and Dave Tanchevsky does not look impressed at all.
Yeah, well, they scored a legit goal. I'd like to see the replay one more time. We've only just seen it on our phones, but it looked like a legit goal. And to me, I thought Charlestown were the better side in the first half. They had more clear-cut chances. However, Valentine made up a good fight, and it's a very tight game, isn't it, CT? I think if it's a punch and match, I'd say Charlestown's just on top. A boxing match, not a punch and match.
Don't say punching match around here too loudly. Start something up. No, it has, and to be fair, that goal for me was a goal.
Yeah,
I couldn't see. We did see it on the telephone, and it wasn't.
On the telephone?
On the mobile. But all in all, I think it is pretty even. Both sides got some chances, and I'd expect a fairly open second half.
Well, before we stuff something else up, let's take a break for 10 minutes and we'll be back. It's Charlestown and Valentine 0-0 here at Lyle Carr Oval. We'll be back soon.
jacket.
Welcome back to Lower Car Oval, the second half. Here at Charlestown, it's Charlestown. We'll run from right to left in this second half. In the blue and white, Valentine from left to right. It's third, the Blues, up against last placed Phoenix. And it's Scott Smith who gets us underway. Matt Tull holds one across the ground to Salini. Matt Paul quickly onto the ball for the Phoenix. Here's Josh Carroll. Quite get the power or accuracy he would have liked, and now it breaks for Sakamoto. So a pretty open start to this second half. This one rolling across the sideline, and boys, we had a look at that disallowed goal for Charlestown at half-time. And yes, we concluded we thought it was a goal. Here's Matt Tull.
Yeah, I feel a bit frustrated for Charlestown. They probably deserved a 1-0 lead at half-time, but unfortunately they go into the break, or went into the break at 0-0. CC, just asked a question. Now Charlestown's got the win behind them. They were playing into the win the first half. What are your thoughts as a coach? Would you prefer to play into the win or against the win?
They've both got their advantage. It depends on the strength of it. If it's at this strength, I'd rather play with the wind because it's easy to shift out of your danger zone and get into their areas more quickly. However, because it's not blowing that strong, you just got to be careful with the weight of your passes if you're playing beyond the defence, because it's easy to run it out. The preference is, and I think you might have mentioned first half, Smudge, how you like to get the balls into feet when you've got the wind behind you. I need to be careful of either getting the weight of the pass correct or making sure it goes to the feet of your front or midfielders in particular. So, overall, I'd rather be going with the wind on the day like today.
Tom Smart to Callan Lewis. Incredibly, boys. Kevin Davidson, he's still out there. He's come back out after the break. Lubo Milicevic rolls over Wilson Edwards and draws the free kick.
He did well there, Lubo. Just sized him up, sized Wilson Edwards up. Little nutty through, and he took the foul on.
Milicevic and Wilson Edwards now not in a great way, so now the Phoenix may be forced to go to their bench.
Just interesting around the grounds, but with Edgeworth 0, Adamstown 0 at half-time, so be good to get some feedback out of that game if we can in the second half.
Yeah, we'll try and get our spies out there to give us some information as to what is happening there. Here's Davidson. And the wind seems to have picked up a little more. Could be a little bit of rain on the way as well. It's got a little bit colder. But don't you love these days? Perfect for football, nice and cool. Maybe not the wind, but...
You know what, the conditions are definitely not perfect for football, Bart. So
I'll say I went off a bit early. In terms of the temperature, maybe the wind. Just get rid of the wind.
No, they're definitely not perfect for football. You'd rather a little drizzle with no wind on a day like today.
But this kind of temperature. Temperature's fine.
Yeah,
temperature's
not too bad. Yeah, temperature's not too bad.
Here's Matt Tull. Lubo Milicevic is just waiting inside the top of the box. So Tull decides to go short. Finds Salini.
To be honest, from a distance like that, I'd be probably having a crack at goal. You've got the wind right behind you. What are your thoughts, CT? You're 25 yards out. The wind's virtually right behind you. It could ricochet anywhere. I'd be having a crack at goal.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely from there. Make Carter make a save.
Does it show a lack of confidence not going for goal from there?
You know what? They might have worked on something at training, so they're probably setting that up. But however, when you look at the wind conditions and all that sort of stuff, things change. So, but from 25 out, you want to be having a go.
Sakamoto. He's got a toe in, and he will not quite get the desired result of the corner.
He's a good little defender, Riley Russell, isn't he, CT? He did well against Scotty Pettit at Olympic last time I seen Valentine play, and I was very impressed with him. Thought he was one of the best on the park, to be honest, and they've had a good battle today. him and Sakamoto.
And a lot of pace about him as well. Sort of like him. It just seems to be hard to get past.
Salini. Sakamoto. Charlestown this afternoon looking to continue an undefeated run, which stretches back to last year here at Lyle Car. They've won their last 4 straight here. Quickly turning it into a fortress. Interestingly, Valentine, they haven't won away from home in 2018, so both trying to, Charlestown trying to continue that run, Valentine to end theirs, and it still sits at 0-0. We are going to see that change being made. Wilson Edwards is going to succumb to that leg injury, and Shinji Shozu, the Japanese import, is going to head out onto the park.
Yeah, this place has always been a fortress. It's always a difficult place to come and get a result. I know back in the day when I was coaching, probably U2CT, it's always a tough way. You're always happy to get your 3 points and walk away with a 0 if you get a win.
Ferguson and Kershaw up hips, and Lewis too smart, and now Lehman outside of his boot. Matt Tull winds up. Last over. Should say Dan Lehman it was there with the strike.
There's been a lot of work done on this ground. You might remember this ground from, say, 20 years ago, Smudge. It could get really boggy in the middle of winter.
And
wet, dusty in the other months. Tough place to be, but the ground looks in really good condition at the moment.
Yeah, agree. Just on Daniel Lehman, he's been rock solid in the centre part with Matt Tull for Charlestown. He's had a solid game so far. He's won the ball.
Russell, the clearance away. There's Matt Tull. In again here. Goes to ground. Ball of energy. The blue skipper, here's Milicevic playing it wide to Reen Ferguson. Along the tarmac, Reece Pettit. Now, Shozu's clearance wasn't his best, and it's going to cause some more pressure here for Charlestown. So what's the option here from the free kick? Milicevic standing over it, Matt Tull as well. Riley McNaughton actually is their regular free kick taker, so that's just shows you how much of an impact him not being in the side has on.
Yeah, Tull will probably just trying to lift this just over, probably a little bit too wide there.
May fall for Sakamoto, doesn't, and Davidson almost stumbled over. Still not running 100% freely after that injury in the first half. Lehman, bullets one across goal, and now Smith. Still Smith, good turn on the left boot. That's what he can do in an instant.
Oh,
he
definitely
can strike. We saw that on show last year at Hamilton. I remember one match, just a quick swivel and he dinked one in the top corner. Looking to do likewise there.
Just one thing with Valentine, or a team when what's playing into the wing, it's better to have a high line. You don't mind having the space beyond, because if the other team tries to play balls in beyond, it's going to run straight to the goalkeeper. Nice header by Joel Wood.
Valentine with the dead ball situation now, so it is very stop-start.
Lubo Milicevic is looking a little bit frustrated out there, CT.
He is. You could see he was barking some instructions and with some venom a few minutes ago, and just needs to be careful. Great asset to Charlestown.
Well, things just not going their way at the moment. Losing to Adamstown last week, the draw with Edgeworth the week before. Haven't won since round 6 in the NPL. They did have an FFA Cup win in there. Matt Paul. Snedden, Rose, Carroll. His boot was angled the wrong way. Because that goal disallowed in the first half as well, Charlestown. So it's all just compounding here for them at Lyle Car this afternoon. That one overhit. The stars aligning for Valentine to snatch 3 points here. And that one overhit. Reen Ferguson can't track it down.
And that's the ball we're talking about, being careful with that. If you see a breeze behind you, it's easy to do.
Kuru. Kevin Davidson, he just slipped on the turf and it's a little damp, and then he tried to pull back Snedden. Here's Josh Carroll, gets it on that right boot, and the quality in front of goal from both sides. It's left a lot to be desired this afternoon. I know it is windy, but it hasn't been great. That one blazed over from Carroll.
Snedden sized the ball up beautifully there, that tackle, and got away from his mark, and terrific ball out. It's where his value in the middle of the park comes in, Snedden.
Scott Smith brings it down. Callan Lewis has got some territory over on the right. Smith decides against it, comes in field. Now Ferguson. Charlestown the leading scorer last year. Ryan Ferguson, 11 goals, only one close to the halfway mark this year. Now Callan Lewis. The edge of the box. It was. He did well to hold his ground. And Scott Carter took that one up above Scott Smith. Yeah, this match is Charlestown's 9th of the year, so just one more and they'll reach the halfway point of their season. They've got the bye next week. You see the rain just beginning to fall here. It's been threatening for a while. Lehman now.
It's been good, Lehman. First game in first grade, first start for the season.
Yeah, totally agree. And, you know, you questioned his speed potentially at the beginning of the match. Smudge and I can see nothing. I know he's always been very quick. He doesn't look like he's lost any speed. Even though physically he's stronger, you can see he's really muscled up. And as long as he hasn't lost his speed.
Or touch.
Good. Yeah, or touch. Yeah. Good point. And good news for Charlestown to have him back in the first grade side.
So they've had some situations in the second half from the set piece. Have Charlestown. And Valentine, that's what they've been working on during the week. Trying to shore up these set pieces because Aaron Sills hasn't been impressed. He takes it on! Scott Smith, it took a deflection.
2-0.
Impossible to save, and Charlestown have the lead now. That went like a bullet from Scott Smith.
Unfortunately, I missed that because I had Kane Goodchild's head right in front of me, so unfortunately I missed that. But that's what we said before. You're 25 yards out, you've got the wind blustering behind you. You want to have a shot for a free kick, don't you, CT?
Yeah, absolutely you do, and why not? Because it's really difficult. Now it's starting, this rain is coming in pretty hard, even more so you want to test Carter out. He's one of the best shot stoppers, but even in the wet and this wind, you really want to take him on.
So you take a deflection, Bart?
Took a deflection. It was impossible for Scott Carter to save. You got the power of the strike from Smith, the deflection, and the wind as well. It was all conspiring against the Valentine keeper, making his return from injury this afternoon. Shozu went to ground and will get the free kick.
And that's what we were saying before, Bart. If you're 20, 25 yards out with this wind behind you and the rain, the ball could go anywhere. Even a miss hit could... So
it's quite surprising because usually when it begins to rain, and being a rower I know this, when it rains it's the best time to be out because normally the wind drops. You think, all right, when it starts raining, but this afternoon it is not happening at all. The wind has actually got stronger since it started to rain.
Now we're under cover and we're starting to get wet. That's how it's going sideways.
Pettit on to Matt Paul, and now Callan Lewis angles the pass wide to Smith.
Charlestown's definitely stepped up the intensity since scoring.
And Valentine barely been able to fire a shot in anger in the second half. Reen Ferguson awkwardly falls to ground. You sense if they score another one, Charlestown, they'll be game over as Smart goes to ground. Appeals for a penalty. Not heeded.
All the arms are going up. Look, Charlestown will feel like this 1-0, they deserve to be there, and rightly so. They'll feel that there should be 2. It is 1, and that's all that matters. But if they do get another one, as you've just pointed out, they're going to be difficult to peg back because I don't know what was said at half-time, but obviously there might have been a little bit of frustration in there as well.
Here's Tom Smart. Gee, that was a great diving header from Zach Snedden away from goal. Davidson. Now it sits up Smith. Well, if it was a metre either side of Carter, it could have been a double for Scott Smith. Breaking that 2-game goalless run, Scott Smith with that goal. Matt Paul. He may be running into a bit of trouble there.
Yeah, the other thing with Scott, I'll let the play go here. Yeah, the other thing with Scott Smith, he works hard in defence. As a number 9, you love your number 9 working hard in defence, and he's one of the best in the business in his defensive role as well.
Snedden's just gone down awkwardly here, so he's back onto his feet now. Maybe something in the eye.
Here with
CT, your cousin's here. He's come up to join us.
Yeah, I think we're about third or fourth cousins. Kane Goodchild. First of all, mate, how are you? How's your injury?
Yeah, it's pretty ordinary. Well, old age is catching up to me, but not as much as you by the looks of it. The specialist tells me I'm still a few more weeks away, unfortunately. But big news yesterday with Riley, he's not out for the season. So we're in a bit of trouble with injuries, but the boys are doing pretty well today.
How long are you out for?
He says another 5 weeks, so I say another 3 weeks.
Yeah, as you would. Look, when the goal was scored, I heard you say that's 2-0, so you clearly think you should be 2 up, and rightly so. At half-time is 0-0. What was the message at half-time, and what was it like in the sheds?
Yeah, look, we changed to a new formation this week, so we're a bit undecided how we're going to play, and we're pretty happy with the first half. They had a few chances, we had a few chances. All in all, I felt like we were getting better as the game went on, and that goal shows it. So this half, the boys come out and they've done it again. So the message was just much the same: keep it going, here we come, and we'll see it has come. So hopefully we can keep going and get another one.
And just finally, we've got Daniel Lehman back in the side, and Daniel, I think it might be his first game this year in first grade, if it's correct. He seems to be going great.
Yeah, it's his first game starting, and he thinks he's a centre midfielder and hasn't been given any chances there, but he has today, and he's by far and away, I think, the best athlete in this comp. He's an extreme competitor, and if we can keep him fit for the rest of the season, he'll be a perfect replacement for Riley McNaughton. So.
Yeah, he is a genuine athlete. You're exactly right. We were just saying before, he's a lot stronger now, and if he does rate himself and he does do a good job in the middle of the park, you're exactly right. He's going to be a really good addition to the squad.
Definitely.
Hey, Kane, just a quick question. Obviously, you've seen quite a few games, or most of the teams this year. Who do you think's the side to beat this year?
It's hard to say. I would have said, and I think as we're here for our game against Jaffers, I would have said Jaffers, but their recent form hasn't been great, and I don't know what it is. Magic are there thereabouts. Maitland are there thereabouts. Edgeworth are. We had a good draw with them. I think they're there or thereabouts as well. I'd still say Jaffers are the team to beat.
It's a competition where it's really close, and anyone's beating anyone at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, those especially those top 5 teams, I'd say, they're all.
This could be a little awkward for Ireland.
So close, it's hard to tell, but Lakes have come good lately, Adamstown have come good lately. It's any given day, anyone can beat anyone in this comp.
Well, we appreciate your time, mate, so thanks for coming up.
Just around the grounds, boys, just really quickly, Broadmeadow gets another goal. They go up 4-1. Oxborough gets his second for the day.
Oh, jeez, instant impact for Mitch Oxborough. Yeah, this could be awkward for Ireland. He punches it away. Kershaw. Back he goes to Carroll. He did well to beat Salini. It was a great turn. There's men in the box for Valentine. Plenty. They have 6 men there in the box. None on the end of it.
And just on Kane Goodchild, the comment about Riley McNaughton, that's a massive loss for Charlestown if they've lost Riley for the year. So.
It really is, because he has been one of the players that does make a difference in this side.
Matt Tull caught under his booty. Shifted it wide to Sakamoto. Lewis. Now with Lehman.
Yeah, he's been a good Lehman. Very comfortable, very calm on the ball. That's what you need as a number 6 or a deep midfielder.
As Kane Goodchild was saying, he's going to be the man to fill the shoes. Left by McNaughton. Smith. Was there a handball? It was a handball against Pettit. And that could be a huge moment in this match. So James Cleal saying it was away from his body.
Yeah, I haven't seen the replay. Tough call. Yeah, we'll like to see the replay, but it's just desserts for Charlestown. Like I said, they scored in the first half.
And Valentine
Which
was
was ruled
really
out.
threatened, have they? They just haven't been able to get anything going in the front third. So big moment here for Scott Carter, because if this one's put away by Scott Smith, I cannot see Valentine getting back into this match. They just have been very impotent in front of goals.
We'll see if he puts it away first, Bart.
Yeah, exactly. Can turn.
Carter playing mind games here. Just went no look at the ball.
But Scott Smith, he's an experienced man. And he rolls that one inside the corner. Scott Smith, that was pinpoint, that penalty. And the advantage is doubled for the Blues.
And it had to be pinpoint because Carter, as mentioned earlier, he's one of the best, if not shot stoppers in this league.
Okay.
He is terrific, and he went the right way. That ball from Smith literally hit the inside of the post. It goes in, and that's a terrific finish there, Smudge.
Yeah, definitely.
And to be honest, if you are going to say the penalty was harsh against Valentine, well, you go back to the decision to disallow the Charlestown goal in the first half. So I think it's evened itself out. Here is Reece Pettit down in the corner.
So
Got a goal,
yeah, just round the ground, boys. There's been another goal at another.
Oh, here we go.
You know I love my guessing games. So Adamstown 1, Edgeworth 0.
Oh, here we go. The Rosebuds. I saw Andrew Licata's statement during the week, and we've actually got a former Edgeworth man heading out there, Aidan Gardner, now well, former Edgeworth, former Magic, former Valentine player, just about to head back out there.
Well, Smudge, I did send Warren Mills a text at half-time saying was 0-0 fair so far. Hadn't got a response, so maybe that's why.
Well, he may have been in the sheds barking orders, I'm unsure.
Or working the
Aidan
canteen.
Gardner, he's given away the ball there, and he should give away a card here. He should go into the book, Aidan Gardner. Oh, his first touch against his former club. Not great, to be honest. Here's Kershaw. Shozu. Now Reece Pettit. To Nine Kuru. Well, they have controlled the ball for periods of this match, Valentine. But just
Daniel
haven't been
Lehman.
able to get anything going. There's Lehman. You put that down to that defensive umbrella from Charlestown. The fact that Valentine have not been able to get anything going.
Yeah, when you're playing a 4-2-3-1, well, you got virtually 5. You sit with 5 defenders. You fall at the back, and you're 2 just screening the back 4. Very hard to get through if you play it correctly.
Just want to touch on Daniel Lehman here. When Goodchild was talking about him, he's rated himself as a midfielder. It's one thing rating yourself. There's one thing rating yourself as a midfielder. The other one is to be able to actually play it. He's been labelled through his time as a 14, 15, 16, and then early 20s as a wide player or a striker,
Like a right fullback.
or a right fullback and attacking sort of. But to sit and play and distribute in the middle of the park. This has been a really good surprise for me anyway, and I know you know him well, Smudge, how well he's actually done today, and he's very much been pivotal in Charlestown's attack.
So Aidan Gardner standing over the free kick. Can he put it on a dime? Little flick. Oh, gee, Reece Ferguson. That would have been very close to goal of the week had he knocked that one in.
And how was Carter's reflexes, CT? His reflexes are lightning, and he just seen that like a big apple.
Yeah, it was just like it was effortless for him.
A big apple.
New York.
Isn't an apple smaller than the ball? Or
I said a big apple.
a big...
While we've got a half smile on your face, boys, it is Mother's Day, and the last one is why is the mother needle not happy with her son? Because it was past his thread time. And for you, wherever you're watching, both Smudge
I didn't laugh.
and Bart are giggling.
I didn't laugh.
Don't make any noise, boys. Past his thread time.
Jeepers creepers. Here is Rain Ferguson. Little swivel from Callan Lewis. We're looking to get on the score sheet. Thought he had one earlier.
Yeah, and just on Callan Lewis playing that number 10 role today. He's been quite busy in defence.
Hayden Gardner almost gave the ball away again there. Away with it. Joel Wood.
Yes, so boys, we have to start thinking about the Harry Schnitzel man of the match.
Well, you guys have been talking up Dan Lehman.
Yeah, he's been good. Scotty Smith's got 2 goals, but there's still 20-odd minutes to play yet, so there's still a lot of time.
It's a trap to fall into, isn't it, giving it to the goal scorer. Don't fall into the trap.
He's been good, but Scott Smith's been very good. But there's still another 20
yep.
minutes to go, but so far I've been very impressed with, well, actually, everyone at Charlestown's done well, but Daniel Lehman, for me, has sort of been a cog in that centre of the park.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just on Harry Schnitzel, we love a Harry Schnitzel, don't we, CT?
We do. You're going to see him at Jesmond. You can see him at Marketown. I believe on the Central Coast these days, Smudge.
Even at Thornton. They've got a new shop at Thornton, just opened a few months ago.
That's right.
Matt Tull flicking it over. Rain Ferguson, can he break his drought? Scott Smith's doing everything he possibly can to ensure it doesn't end this afternoon. Great save again.
Scott Smith or Scott Carter?
Scott Carter, I should say. Sorry. Too many Scots.
Yeah, the old Harry Stinny, don't mind a famous, minus the cucumber, mate.
That's your famous. You take the cucumber home, put it on your eyes with a bit of yogurt at night time, Smudge.
Has a massage.
No comment.
This one whipped in. Hayden Gardner couldn't quite bring it under his control. So time ticking away now for Valentine.
So we've got the Harry Schnitzel Player of the Day to pick that out. That's usually someone doesn't have to be on the park, can be off the park, something that's fun or unusual. And the Sports Click Man of the Match.
Ferguson back to Lewis. Gardner lets it run by, and Salini's ball into the back of Riley Russell. See if they can recharge here and go again, Charlestown. Lehman. Milicevic now. And now Matt Paul. Well, he gets a coat hanger there by Callan Lewis. I'm not quite sure what the point in that was. It wasn't going anywhere. And we're going to see another change here for the Phoenix. It's going to be Jesse Fain coming onto the park. Youngster. Been good for the Phoenix in their 20s this year, according to the coaching staff at Valentine. And Josh Carroll is going to leave the park. Couldn't break his duck in front of goal this season. So we'll see if the youngster can bring something to this Valentine attack, which has really been unable to get going in this match at all. Joel Wood's had a couple of half opportunities. Apart from that, he's been well marked by Milicevic out of this one. Russell. Brought down by Fain. Now Lewis to Lehman. Distributes back to Milicevic. And now Rain Ferguson picks up the scraps. Smith back to Lehman, who is just offside, Scott Smith.
Boys, I'd like to touch on something. Tancheski's been playing a 4-4-2 for the majority of the year, or virtually all year. He's moved to a 4-3-3 today. I really like their shape today, CT. It's really well balanced. I like the way Lehman and Tull are screening the back four. And Scott Smith working by himself with Ferguson and Callan Lewis at number 10. Done very well.
Yeah, I think the balance of the midfield has been very good. When one drags out, another one comes in, and you know, they've balanced themselves well.
Here's Fain, neat ball onto Wood, and Tom Smart got back. Wood will be after it. Milicevic quickly across.
Oh,
Gee, does well in the corner in the tight situation, the big man, Lubo Milicevic. And now Scott Smith. Can he keep it in? He can. Across the face. Callan Lewis trying to catch up with it, but the wind has got there first. been taken wide, but Aiden Gardner. Now back to Lehman, trying to dink it over the top.
Boys have had the wind, the rain, the sunshine. We just haven't had the snow today.
It's like Melbourne weather, isn't it? 4 seasons in a day.
How many forms of precipitation are there, Smudge? How many forms?
There's
three
snow,
forms.
rain.
Rain, hail, sleet, snow.
What was that third one?
It's rain, hail, sleet, and snow. It's about as far as I'm going to get.
Matt Tull now.
Sure, there's others.
Scott Smith not quite having the speed to run that one down with a win behind them. So it looks as though this winless run for Charlestown against Valentine will end this afternoon. They haven't beaten them since 2013. And at this point in time, based on what we've seen to this point, you would expect that to end this afternoon. And Valentine's away record, it's been poor. They have not won away from home this season, and they've won just one of their last 8 away from their home ground, whether it be Crowders Bay or Carl Oval.
But as you know, Bart, football's a funny game. It can turn like anything.
It's incredible, because this is one of these games where you just look at it and you go, there is no chance Valentine are getting back into this one.
I wouldn't write him off just yet.
Snedden, wide to 9, Kuru. Here he is. Took a little deflection. Danny Ireland grabs that one nicely.
There's still 13 minutes to go, Bart, so plenty of time.
Murray. Charlestown very much have blunted Joel Wood. Kershaw was good for the first part of the match, but seems to have run out of puff in the second half. Josh Carroll substituted off as well. So
they haven't seen much ball in the second half. I think Charlestown's really condensed their space, and they've looked pretty good, Charlestown, haven't they? Structurally, defensively, they've been very good, rock solid.
9, Kuru. Snedden. Shozu. And James Quill's going to come back.
We were talking earlier in the first half about, keeping things fresh and, mixing training up, or, some coach giving, a session off here and there. Sometimes a change in formation, Smudge, is as fresh as...
Agreed.
And this, for Charleston, gives them something else to think about, something else to work on. And, in the way they've looked today, they look very well organised.
And it looks balanced, doesn't it?
It does. It's a good word for it.
Thank you.
Scott Carter barking out orders still to his side. Been disappointed with what he's seen so far this afternoon. Murray just held off Callan Lewis. So Adamstown still up 1-0 against Edgeworth. Magic with a sizable advantage over the Jets Youth. It's still 4-1 in that one. So what an interesting afternoon of football.
But as you know, with Edgeworth, the last 15 minutes, they are unstoppable.
Deadly.
They are,
aren't they?
and stats prove that.
Reece Pettit, Valentine are going to have to try and find their inner Edgeworth this afternoon.
Kevy Davidson, after having that knock in the first half, has been rock solid again. He's just limped away then. It was quite an awkward challenge, but we thought he was down for all money, didn't we, in the first half?
Yeah, absolutely, we did.
Been tremendous.
Now, I haven't seen the team sheet from that match that Edgeworth are playing, the match between Edgeworth and Adamstown, but I don't know whether Damien Zane would have rested a decent chunk of players, because they're playing in the FFA Cup on Wednesday night against Valentine, and we know how much Edgeworth love to do well in the FFA Cup.
For more reports, I think Daniel McBrien was being arrested, but I'm not 100%. I haven't seen the team sheet, but that was the general gist, or the general talk yesterday out at Lambton.
And the other thing is that we have a black eye, Smudge. That ball is just going to end up in a corner kick for Charlestown. We have a black eye because we said Edgeworth never lose these games. During the week on the weekly show, we said they never lose to sides in the bottom half of the ladder. That could change this afternoon.
I wouldn't write them off yet, but there's still 13 or so minutes to go out there.
So Matt Tull Chipping it in. Ferguson and Smith in there, putting some pressure on Carter. He just launches one, but there's no one. It was the quadrant of the pitch where there was no Valentine player within about 30 metres. Davidson.
He's been good, Scott Carter, too. On a losing side at the moment.
You think about it, the goals that have been scored, Scott Smith with the bullet,
yeah,
which was impossible to save as the wind really started to strengthen. The rain was swirling, and then, of course, the penalty. So you cannot be blamed for the 2 goals. And again, Valentine. You call the penalty a set piece, don't you? Concede from a couple of set pieces. I'm just going to frustrate Darren Sills.
For me, Matt Tull's done well today. He's been just playing it nice and simple. That's a great ball.
Here's Salini. Now Smith with the back heel. Is this Rain Ferguson's moment? Took a heavy touch, falls back for Smith, and Callan Lewis, had he got a little deflection on that? And Scott Carter may have been in a bit more trouble.
I think if Salini had his time again, he probably could have taken the defender on because he had the momentum going forward, didn't he, CT?
Yeah, he did. He may do, but he made a good
Kuru
choice.
found Wood, but Matt Tull, there he is. You're just talking him up, Smudge, and got in there and basically put out the fire. It was beginning to start with Joel Wood there. Straight away, put the blanket over it.
Only really one attacker in attendance there for Charlestown. You can see, the focus is on defence, clearly.
Talking to Tanchevsky prior to the game, his main aim was to get the 3 points today, no matter how he did it, as long as the team got the 3 points. They've been very good today, Charlestown.
They have. Has this man has just been brought down, Daniel Lehman. He's had a cracker.
So who are you leaning towards? Are you going towards Lehman or are you going towards Matt Tull?
Look, they both had solid games. You know, I could go either, but for me, I'm Lehman. The reason being is because he's filling a hole where they really need it and stood up. And not only that, his distribution's been terrific. He's rarely missed his mark. His tackling has been superb. Physically, he's announced his presence, and his touch has been great. Smudge, your thoughts?
I agree 100% with you, CT. It's probably the first time ever, but you're spot on the money there. Tull's been great. Scott Smith's been great.
Well, here's Callan Lewis. Disallowed and that goal disallowed in the first half, and couldn't quite get it around Scott Carter there. And now 9 Kuru. And he shows some pace. He does. He threads it wide. Here's Jesse Fahan. Got some raw speed there. And he will win the corner. It was promising from the youngster. So, great to have your company this afternoon on Bar TV. I'm just having a look on YouTube. Everyone is tuning into that Adamstown Edgeworth game. 111 viewers. We've got 55 boys, so everyone's switching over. Don't switch over. I know I would. I would switch over. There's James Cleal. He's going to hand out a yellow card to Kevin Davidson, maybe?
Or Salini.
Looks as though he was gesturing beyond Cameron Salini. Here's Matt Paul. Now Murray.
Lehman, first one to put pressure on the ball.
So it will be another corner, just building some pressure.
He's super fit, isn't he, CT?
He's been renowned for his injuries. He's had all sorts of hamstrings, knees. He's had all sorts of problems. But, you know, him fit in his side is, I think, good. He said if we can keep him fit, it's going to be a good asset.
So Matt Paul again. Really hit that one. It's pinball in the box and cleared off the line by Matt Tull. That was the glimmer of hope that Valentine really needed. And they couldn't put it away. And now Dan Lehman. Oh, gee, Reece Pettit has got absolutely cleaned up. He got in his way. He'd be winded there as well. Gee, you wouldn't want to run into him.
No, I wouldn't want to be running straight into him either.
That would be like hitting a cement mixer. Bang. And Reece Pettit is still down. Just feeling if he's got all his ribs still there. Oh, gee whiz, that was solid contact. So, just repeating. Now, is that full time at Broadmeadow Magic?
I wouldn't be yet, I don't think.
Not quite yet. And we're just having a look at Edgeworth and Adamstown, and it is still 1-0 to the Rosebuds. Wow. I saw, I was mentioning before, Andrew Licata during the week posted a message about how he's proud of all the fans that have stuck by them in this tough time. Credit to them. They've had a real rotten run the last few years, Adamstown. And one of the proudest clubs in the competition. There's Ferguson. Of course, they've got lower budget than many of the other clubs, and they are doing an almighty job with consecutive wins and maybe a third. Here's Russell. Snedden. Tried to flick it out. Matt Tull, can he get on the score sheet again? Breaks here for Josh Murray. Not giving up the ghost here, Valentine. Snedden tries to thread it through. Kershaw! Great tackle from Milicevic.
Great tackle. Well-timed tackle, wasn't it, CT?
Perfectly timed, and that's just purely experience is going to do that for you. Read it and timed it. You've always got to be careful when you're going to be sliding inside your own box to make a tackle, but he made sure that he was absolutely ball.
Now that's what he brings, that kind of experience in his box. A lot of pressure on that. So if you make a mistake, it's a penalty. Matt Paul now, up they rise, and Danny Ireland clean with the punch. Now with Reese Pettit. Things just starting to open up here for Valentine. Zach Snedden goes to ground. Scott Smith, as he would, disagreeing with the decision. I think Zach Snedden did put in a little bit of an acrobatic effort there.
From first look, it looked like a foul. So
definitely a foul,
yeah.
but I thought he made a bit more of it, as you do. So here's Matt Paul. Did he go for goal? Doesn't. Joel would track this one down. So it's all hands to the pump for Charlestown. At the moment, it falls for Matt Paul, who was offside. And you could see Lubo Milicevic, he knew exactly where he had to be there.
Even from first glance, it looked like Matt Paul was in the offside position and then came onside. So
Charlestown with a late change. Will be another one of their youngsters.
it's like Scotty Smith.
Yeah, Scott Smith's going to head off the ground. And heading out there is Jared Purcell. Slotting in that front attacking third for Charlestown, and Zach Snedden is going to head off the park. Jordan Bauer came off the bench last week against Western. Did Jordan Bauer and scored 4 goals in the under-20s competition this year, so to get back into this one, they do need a miracle, and I'll be looking potentially to him to find them a goal. Reese Pettit sees Wood. Knocks it wide to Shozu. Infield back to Wood again. Long raking ball. 9 Kuru. Can't track it down. So inside the final 5 minutes inside the final 3 minutes at Edgeworth, and it is still Adamstown leading by a goal to nil. Here we're ticking into stoppage time, and here is Scott Carter, known for his runs outside the box. This time just decides to chip it forward before he got too far out. And now it is teeming down. The rain has returned. Clear handball against Ferguson.
No argument there.
And now Purcell gives away what goes into the book, I should say.
Yeah, it's a silly yellow card. You don't need that. You're 2-0 up with a few minutes to go. It's a wasted yellow card.
It's Murray, and now Reese Pettit. Couldn't rise above Danny Ireland. I said before this afternoon, only one clean sheet for him this season. And the Charlestown defence looks as though it will be two. And they've been rock solid this afternoon.
Boys just over at Broadmeadow Magic. Magic scored another one, makes it 5-1 over the Jets. Unsure of the goal scorer.
So Shozu. This is as heavy as it's been all day here in the Hunter.
5 minutes ago, the sun was out. It was actually a nice balmy afternoon. It's been
just incredible, isn't it? So we've got another change here for Charlestown. Their final substitution. With Reen Ferguson, he's heading off the park, so Dave Tanchevsky just giving his youngsters a chance out there. Zach Lloyd, former Jets youth man, heading out there for the Blues. Here's Shozu. Nutmegs Tull. Falls for Wood. And it is a pitch which can get heavy quite quickly, so we may see a little bit of dirt and mud fly up. A few players slipping over. It gets soft underfoot. Callan Lewis plays in Zach Lloyd. Charging after it, but Josh Murray used his body well. Now to Pettit. Chips one up the sideline.
Boys just going back on Broadmeadow Magic. There's been a correction, and Newcastle Jets scored to make it 4-2 at Broadmeadow. And the other game, Adamstown still 1-0 over Edgeworth with a few minutes to play.
Wow. Adamstown. Couldn't be happier for them. Here's Lloyd. Now Callan Lewis. Callan Lewis! Flashed across the face of goal. Into this teeming rain now. Valentine trying to bring it out. Wood knocks it forward. Charging after it is Bauer. Milicevic. Got there before Danny Ireland. Now Matt Paul. So not long to go here at Charlestown. And the Blues are going to end an almost 5-year winless run against Valentine. This will beat everyone over the byline. Rain's probably come at the worst time. Right at the end of the match, players are going to go in absolutely dripping wet. Nice warm shower would be welcomed after being out there in this. Now we just couldn't reel that one in. And that will do this afternoon here at Lyle Carr Oval. And it's slowly turning into a fortress, this ground for the Blues. That is 5 matches straight. They have won here, dating back to last year, and it stops their winless run in its tracks at just 2 matches. And for the Phoenix, their respite of wins is over 2-match winning run they had. And as June approaches, they'll be hoping to ensure it's not a winter of discontent, or all that promise they showed last year may quickly be washed away. They still will remain in last at the conclusion of this round. Full time at Lyle Carr. Charlestown 2, Valentine 0. And to be honest, CT, it was just a workmanlike effort, wasn't it, from Charlestown? And Valentine, quite disappointing. They were blunted in attack.
They were. Tanchevsky will be delighted with that. As Smudge said, he went and spoke to him before the game. He said it was about the 3 points, and that's just getting the job done, and his team has done that today. The change-up of formation, Daniel Lehman's outstanding, Tull's outstanding. Had a few good players out there. Joel Wood had a good game going through both sides, but all in all, a good victory for Charlestown. They've really, wanted the points today, and they've got that job done.
And next weekend, of course, the NPL show Thursday. That will be on at 7 o'clock on Thursday night, 6:30 maybe. Next week, I can't wait for this one. We always love this clash, and two sides who are in a great run of form. Broadmeadow Magic versus Hamilton Olympic.
Both teams in great form and coming off results this weekend, so they'll be both very keen to knock the other one out, and really stepping up. So this is the pointy part of the season. Who is going to be there at the end? And games like that one next week is going to be a cracker, because that'll certainly go a long way to putting things towards the top four.
Yes, and some huge FFA Cup matches during the week. Valentine, they're up against Edgeworth, so huge clash that one. Charlestown played Lake Macquarie, and of course Hamilton, they're up against Western, and Magic play Thornton. So all four of the sides we've mentioned in action midweek to decide who goes through to the final 8 in northern New South Wales. That wraps it up from Lyle Carr. Thank you, CT.
And enjoy. I'll see you through the week, Bart, and look forward to the show on Thursday night.
Yes, and thank you, Smudge, as well, for being here this afternoon.
See you, Bart.
We'll catch you guys next week.